Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
Strange.
Don't cast that spell. We tampered with the stability of space-time. The multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little.
Hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Classic Jake.
Hello.
And New Jake.
Hi, everybody.
And this is the Spoilercast for Spider-Man No Way Home. And we're gonna go right to it. So if you here's your warning. We all love the movie or enjoyed the movie. Classic Jake and New Jake, you gave it 8, and I'm gonna stick by my 10. And this is it. If you know, we all enjoyed it, and we get some music, and then we'll go right into the spoilers. But we want to give you an opportunity to know what we liked about what our scores was before we do this. So, on to some music. Alright, we're back.
The spoilers.
So, this movie starts off with the ending to Far From Home and Spider's identity being revealed by Mysterio. And I recently rewatched all of the 2 other Spider-Man movies, the home series, quote unquote. So I felt really there, and they give a great flow to one another. And all the movies are directed by the same guy, I think, right? Watts.
Yeah,
John Watts.
So the movie starts off with Spider-Man getting MJ and them being hounded by everyone on the street, and they're trying to escape and going through the subways, and eventually they go back to the apartment. And I actually kind of liked this scene with the camera, and like you actually get to see how swinging around in New York would be. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. This is cool, you know?
Yeah.
Which we never seen before in live action. So, wait, we kind of had a first-person scene in Amazing Spider-Man, but it's not the same as this.
Yeah. This was actually better and not that dark.
So we get to the apartment, and we figure out that Happy has broken up with Aunt May.
Yeah.
Which
In the middle of that identity crisis.
And they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. It's like, why is there a helicopter?
Yeah.
They walk in on Tom Holland or Spider-Man getting undressed with MJ, and they're like, they're thinking they're about to have sex or had sex or something, and you know, it actually really works. I really like this, you know, back and forth, and he actually Spider-Man just walks around Peter Parker in his underwear for like that first scene.
Yeah.
And they see on the TV, you know, the thing they report, and they see the helicopters there, and like, okay. And eventually they get the cops to come get them, and then they talk. And I love that the mom, not mom, Aunt May told everyone, "Shut up! You say a damn word." You know, good for her. You know, telling them, because you know, you spill your guts and you know say the wrong things. You know.
Yeah.
And then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And we get it wasn't like the federal like FBI or something or NYPD that was interrogating him. It was the agents from Damage Control, which is like...
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a public-private thing in the MCU. They're a little different than they are in the comics, but it's something that Tony Stark did with the government to clean up messes of superhero action.
And it was going to be a TV show, but it never got made. So, okay.
Which was a shame.
Yeah, Damage Control is awesome.
Yeah.
in the comics, and there's a lot of stuff they could, because it's kind of the not kinder, gentler Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So Ned actually spills his beans and tells everyone about everything, and like, no.
Yes,
this
is why.
That just seems like a violation of the Fifth Amendment. You know, they just
Oh.
tried to coerce everyone to speak, and I would have sued the hell out of them.
Oh, a good lawyer
We'll get to
who
him.
shows up, who shows up, will fix that mistake.
Yes.
Of Ned Leeds.
Yes.
So they let go, and then they try to go back to school. And Peter's hounded by everyone, and Flash, which hated Peter Parker for the first two movies, now is a super fan because he loves Spider-Man, and he wrote a book, and now he's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm."
Yeah, and that's like one of the
title of
greatest
the book.
Flashpoint, one of the greatest trolls of all time. I about died.
That was hilarious.
I actually spat soda out. Thank God the rows were far distant apart, or I might have got my ass kicked. That was the best troll ever. Oh my God.
Oh, Hannibal Buress in that scene was really good too.
Yeah, is a conspiracy crazy. Oh my God, yeah. I was dying.
You killed Mysterio.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you didn't even know who Mysterio was before that front grifter showed up. Oh my God, that was awesome.
So, Peter does talk to his teachers, and he doesn't try to deny it. It is what it is. And the teachers are, "Oh, we made this little shrine for you." And one of the teachers is like, "Oh, you killed Mysterio." And the other ones are like, "Oh, you're awesome." And he can't go to school. He can't.
Yeah.
And, they recently applied to go to college, in multiple places, but all of them really wanted MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I assumed, okay, yeah, Peter's always been super smart. I don't know MJ or Ned being that smart, but okay, sure.
I would assume Ned would be.
It's a kind of presumed because of their interests, and they're able to communicate with Peter on a certain level with him. So it's been implied that they're both pretty brainy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I was kind of surprised about. And then, so they go back home, or they have a little moment on top of the roof where they're talking. This is in the trailer, and he's just trying to get away from everything. And this moment is just so sweet, and it's so nice. And I've always liked the romance between the two characters, but I feel like this one is the one where I totally buy it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think they are dating in real life, right? Zendaya
yes.
And
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. So they definitely have chemistry now on screen. Well, they had it before. They were cool before, but this one really connects. Probably, I don't know if it's as good as Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield in Amazing Spider-Man, because that was really awesome chemistry. But they got chemistry.
Yeah.
So Aunt May is in the house talking to Happy, and they get a lawyer, and we see the lawyer being Matt Murdock, and I cheered.
Charlie Cox.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil TV show from Netflix, and I think Disney announced that they were hiring, the characters for, but we didn't know when we were going to see them, and we definitely saw Charlie Cox, and we know he's Daredevil.
Oh, they didn't say anything until the drop on Hawkeye.
No spoilers on Hawkeye, please, if possible.
I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to say there was a needle drop, and that everybody knew what was coming down, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
So, now we have confirmation of two main characters from Daredevil TV show making their way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as reprising their roles. Now, I'm still thinking that basically Disney is going to have just say that was a different universe and just move on. They're not going to try to connect those dots with the Netflix shows, because It just becomes legally weird, because Netflix still owns the rights, but they don't have them up, or I don't know how that works.
Yeah, they would be best to just go, that was a different universe.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that Marvel produced the series. It's just Netflix distributed them. So I don't know if there's that much legal red tape there.
Yes and no. I think it was a combination of both, because it does. Have you watched those shows, New Jake, or no?
I watched like the first season of Daredevil, and I haven't watched like Iron Fist or anything like that.
I've watched all of them except for the second season of Luke Cage and the second season of Punisher. So they definitely have a very different tone, which obviously it's more mature rated content, but it doesn't really feel the same as other Marvel properties. Classic Jake, do you agree?
Yeah.
I feel like Daredevil was pretty much the standout of all of them, though.
Yeah.
On some episodes, I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, and unfortunately a lot of bad.
Yeah, the Netflix shows had a lot of bloat, and it just kind of like, wrap it up, guys, wrap it up, and this storyline's going nowhere. Come on, guys. I felt like season 2 of Jessica Jones just dragged on and on, and I didn't care. But anyway, I was excited by this. I had no idea this was there. Did you guys get the spoiled that he was in this movie, or no?
No.
Nope, I didn't have that spoiled. I also didn't have the which to me it was like, come on, if you're going to spoil something, I'm glad they didn't spoil Doctor Strange's status.
Right.
So I guess now we have to refer to Wong as Sorcerer Supreme Wong.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of bombs in this movie that I did not. I was pretty good about not seeing any spoilers. Now, I got a fake spoiler that me and Classic Jake talked about, because you know how sometimes you open up the Google app and they'll have stories you may like.
Yeah, I hate that.
I turned it off recently, but they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna, in the second trailer, you're gonna see Wolverine, and you're gonna have Hugh Jackman in it. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh no, they better not do that. First of all, I love Hugh. He's great. But they just end it. He ended it with Logan. That's a great way to end it. Why would he come back? That makes no sense at all. And that would piss off a lot of people if, Wolverine is in this movie, but other people aren't. So maybe there was plans at first, but I don't know. I didn't read the story because I didn't want to get spoiled. But Wolverine's not in this movie, guys. Or everyone.
Yeah.
He's not.
And for good reason.
Yeah. So we see him actually use his super awesome powers, and even impresses Spider-Man that he's able to catch like a brick or something that threw in the window.
Yeah, he's a really good lawyer.
Yeah, like this blind man just catches a brick.
So after this, we're starting to see that he's just like, I don't know what to do. And they're talking, and I didn't see the connection before, but after I see it, it's like, oh, that's so clever. Like, they're just talking about, because they're all getting their letters from the different colleges. And all of them got the letter from MIT, and they all opened it together in the coffee shop, I think. That
MJ works at.
MJ works at, which we didn't know about this until this movie.
Yeah.
And none of them got it, and none of them got it because of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't see the name of the shop, but in the Spider-Man comic books, there's a couple of different coffee shops that have Peter Parker hung out in over the years. One was Coffee A Go-Go, and I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head.
Now, this is set near a little bit in November. And the manager complains, hey, get those Halloween decorations off. And you see what looks like a hobgoblin there. And I was like, what is... And then, like, Peter looks at it, and then he sees, like, the goatee and thinks, oh, Doctor Strange. I thought it was a clever way of doing that. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of... I don't know, it looked more like witches to me, and I'm, like, going, witch with a goatee. Mm-hmm, awesome. So I wonder when Disney's going to start selling those lights.
Oh yeah.
I want him.
Yeah. Mhm.
So Peter goes to because he's in New York too, and he goes there. We finally get the New York everyone being there because we get Spider-Man, we get Doctor Strange, and we get Daredevil on in one movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't need Jessica Jones or Luke Cage in there, but it would have been cool if they're just walking around the background or something.
Yeah. Screw Iron Fist. I've never seen the show, but I don't know. I just don't like that guy.
I don't hate it as much as everyone else, but it's fine. I get why people don't like it. But I still,
It's a terrible show. The second season's somewhat. It's at least watchable, but it's
yeah.
just horribly miscast.
Yeah.
And the taste of modern audiences. They needed to update Danny Rand anyway.
I mean, I liked it more than the super boring Luke Cage, which I could not stand. I'm sorry, but that's a whole other discussion.
It was on the first season was like half a show, and the other half was a third-rate ripoff of The Wire.
Anyway, so he talked to Doctor Strange, and then they say that the entire open area is frozen because one of the portals was left open, and the portal was to Siberia, and it's like, oh, okay, that actually explained it. They didn't, just say, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
We have two people there that I have no idea who those people are, just cleaning up the ice.
Yeah.
Probably just subordinates of Doctor Strange as well, or Wong's now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But now we know why Strange is acting the way he is. He no longer has the responsibility of being the Sorcerer Supreme. So he's probably feels a lot freer and can loosen up.
Yeah.
Now, I really feel like after watching the movie, I felt like Doctor Strange was actually being a lot more responsible than the trailers suggested.
Yeah.
So it's obvious.
It wasn't Agatha Harkness.
Yeah, he wasn't Agatha in disguise.
At least not yet. Maybe.
Yeah, if he turns out to be a Skrull, I would kind of shrug and go, "Yeah, makes sense."
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, talking about it," and Doctor Strange is like, "I'm sorry, Peter, but we can't be changing time because you had a bad time, and you're going through a bad rough patch or whatever." And I was like, "Is there any way to do a spell to make sure?" And then Wong comes by, and it's like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" And Wong doesn't like it, but he's leaving, and then we figure out then that Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme, which because Doctor Strange was blipped, you need to have someone be the Sorcerer Supreme, so Wong is the technicality, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't change it back when Doctor Strange came back.
Yeah, because he had a good 5 years on him.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it makes things more interesting for Shang-Chi, so why the hell is Wong fighting his monsters as the Sorcerer Supreme?
Yeah, I'm like going, why is he having to, I got questions. I want to know why he was hanging out with the Abomination.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something that's going to be explored later on, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, we got questions.
Mm-hmm. We need answers.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have a spell here. It's just a forgetting spell, so it's not going to really impact the timeline. And he's used it for worse, or for something easier. And Wong was like, "What?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I did it for this. You don't remember that? Oh, okay, I guess And so Peter is in the dungeon with there, and they're starting doing the spell. But like they didn't go over the replications of the spell beforehand, So Peter's like, "Oh no, change this. No, change that. No, change this." Which actually, I'm on Peter's side here. Doctor Strange should have mentioned these things beforehand.
Yeah.
Just assumed that he's been practicing magic long enough. He probably assumed Peter Parker had a passing knowledge of how spells work, and obviously Peter Parker regards magic as magic.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever a wizard or a witch gives you a spell, read the fine print.
Yeah, he didn't realize there were rules to it.
Yeah.
So, everyone forgot that the spell that ended up happening was that everyone but a few people remembered or didn't. It didn't. It was kind of a messed up spell, but what ended up happening was that it attracted people from other dimensions to come get Spider-Man. That part was a little bit weird to explain, but I kind of just let it go because magic is magic.
Well, basically what happened was anybody who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man was brought into this universe, but Doctor Strange was able to stop most of them from coming through.
Yeah.
And that was the excuse, but other things just didn't add up, because if you think about it too hard, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But magic is magic.
And he's got a movie.
Yeah.
So Peter leaves, and then he figures out, we could actually, I could go talk to the person and see if we could, Dr. Strange says, you didn't try to appeal your decision to not be an MIT. You could do that. And I didn't know you could do that. I never thought about that either, but, I never really applied to multiple colleges. I kind of just applied to one and I got in, so.
Well, to be fair, this is Tom Holland's first rodeo with applying to colleges.
Yeah.
So, he gets there and he's trying to talk to her, and she's like, I guess, I don't know. And then Doc Ock comes out and starts battling Peter. And he's like, I don't know who are you, sir, or whatever. And
unmasks him, and he doesn't recognize him. He's like,
"You're not Peter."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and the de-aging technology in this movie is the best. It's spot on. I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, he hasn't aged in 17 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't question it at all.
I mean, better than Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, and Captain Marvel was pretty good for the time, and really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ant-Man and Endgame. I mean, they used it quite a bit. I mean,
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, exactly. It hit the uncanny valley in places, but it didn't trigger it once in this movie. Yeah. It just seemed natural.
Maybe it's because he was wearing sunglasses.
That could have happened.
Yeah.
So, I actually really loved that the nanotech hacked into the arms, and he had control over that. I was like, oh, that is brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, you were just thinking, oh shit, he's gonna really kick Peter's ass with that Iron Man tech. No, he took control. It was awesome.
Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you see, that this, Doc Ock, which we saw for Spider-Man 2, which if you're interested in more Spider-Man 2, you could listen to our podcast review on Patreon. Perfect segue.
Yep.
So he is not like a villain. I mean, he is a villain, but he's just kind of wants revenge, but it's a more nuanced villainy. And once he knows that this is not the same Peter, he's like, well, I don't really have a beef with you,
Yeah.
And and his tentacles are more got control. I mean, that's the issue with Doc Ock, is his tentacles take over because the little chip is malfunctioning.
So this battle, was like, okay, wrapping up, and then another villain comes, which is the Green Goblin, and he starts just throwing these bombs everywhere, and one of the bombs kind of, or is it the arms or the bombs? During the action, the car that had the woman that he talked to from MIT was starting to fall off, and Peter saves him. And she was like, okay, I'll talk to them to get you and everyone else in MIT. Don't you worry.
Yeah. You're a hero.
Which, I legit, yeah, do that. He saved his life or her life.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that was a pretty, scary, I can imagine that being terrifying for her,
Mm-hmm.
And then Doctor Strange just kind of zapped him back into the dungeon, and like, whoa, what is going on? There's other guy there. It's like, okay, I got him into here, and all these guys came out, and I already have this other guy over there, Lizard. I was like, what? This is a dinosaur? I never thought about it, but now I can't unthink about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all these guys came from other dimensions because the spell broke. It didn't work, so we need to catch them and grab them and put them together and then try to send them back to where they came from. And I was like, okay. And then Spider-Man has the rest of his crew there, and it's like, okay, we'll do it together. And it's like, okay. And, like, I'll be the man in the computer, and, we're going to help you out. And like, okay, we get the next one. I'm gonna wrap up my phone on my chest because they don't have like a little camera system.
Yeah.
And they go investigate another sighting, which was in the forest. And he goes over there for Electro, and he starts fighting Electro. And we then get Sand come after him, and we see Sandman there, and we get them back.
Yeah.
And all the characters reprising their roles from the previous Spider-Man movies.
Except Amy Fox's character, for some reason, is now muscular, buff, and cool.
Which they actually off mention.
And hair.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, he doesn't look like a an offensive stereotype of a nerd.
Yeah.
He doesn't look blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you got a little bit of it, but that was about it.
Yeah, and I love the way the electricity arced and kind of formed the comic book mask of the star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice, but it would have been cool to see him in the green tights, but can't have everything, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, later on they comment, it's like, hey, you're not the same one I did before. And he was like, I guess this universe changed me or something. Or I think the idea was that this was later in his timeline because then they figure out that all the bad guys came back right before Spider-Man killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they send them back, then they will all die. And they find one more with Aunt May, and Aunt May is helping like a homeless shelter or something. Or
Yeah, Beast. Yeah, it's her little thing that she set up from the comics, and it's in the MCU. In the MCU, she runs it exclusively. In the comics, I think she formed it with Mr. Negative.
Yeah, because they did that in the video game too.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking to Willem Dafoe, which, is Green Goblin. And you see Willem Dafoe, fight the Mask like he did in original Spider-Man. And you see him with Aunt May, and he's just kind of a sad person. And he's like, I want to try to help you guys out. I'm not going to fight y'all. And Dafoe brought his A game. All of these guys brought their A game.
He also stole a lot of donuts from Aunt May.
Yeah.
I didn't know if y'all seen that in the background. He was just pocketing donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I always thought this was corny in Spider-Man 1, and I kind of just like, okay, I guess. But he sells it here. He sells it so well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also think we're, as a culture, are a lot more understanding of mental illness. So Willem Dafoe is able to really flesh out a mentally ill person and really sell.
And also Sam Raimi, he just kind of tends to go more silly sometimes, and he also loves the 60s Spider-Man comics more than like the modern day stuff. So
yeah,
maybe that also has something to do with the cheesiness of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of surprised because I never liked it before. Never. And I always thought people were Spider-Man 1's the best one. I was like, no, it isn't. I don't like I don't like Green Goblin, and I never liked him, and now I love him. And it works so well here.
Yeah. Oh, and did you catch the kind of the little flirtations between Aunt May and Doc Ock?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a deep cut from the comics because Aunt May almost married Doc Ock.
But it also kind of makes no sense because if he's from the second movie before he died, he should still be grieving over his wife.
Yeah, exactly. But then he is a supervillain.
I mean, fair, but still, he loves his wife still, and there's some humanity to Doc Ock still.
I know, but I guess every guy's a horn dog. I guess. I mean, damn.
I get. I mean, it is Marissa Tomei, so sure, but
Yeah, but
yes.
I think this was more of a we're gonna do this deep cut with the comics and see who catches it.
Yeah.
And just throw the characterization out the window.
Yeah.
See, this didn't bother me because I thought it was just kind of a flirty kind of thing. Like, he didn't really ask her out or really, it was just kind of flirty. The chemistry was there. It was a nod to that comic, and that was that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but still, it seems kind of slightly out of step for his Doc Ock. But
it also
I could look past it.
It looked a little out of step for Aunt May. I was like, you just busted up with Happy Hogan, and you now want to go. What are you now into Bad Boys?
But to be fair, she did say it was just a fling between them two, and I guess he seemed kind of controlling, which he kind of sort of is because he's security personnel. So I get it.
Yeah,
I really get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, during this transaction, Doctor Strange was, or before this, Doctor Strange was fighting, and it's like, hey, these guys need to go back to where they were, and I'm sorry that they die, but in the course of the multiverse and the trillions of lives, I'm sorry, but they need to go back. And Peter's like, no, and Aunt May was like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. You're better than this. You could help them. And I was like, damn, Aunt May's just so wholesome. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll go back to Happy's hideout, because that's where he was staying for the time being. And they have a machine there, a generator, or a replicator.
Fabricator. Yeah, and Dummy. Yeah, we get to see Dummy. Most abused
robot
in history. I mean, I used to joke. I said, "Dummy, it's lucky for Stark that Dummy didn't turn into Ultron."
Yeah.
Or Vision.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were saying, okay, maybe we can help him, and then Doc Ock talks to him, and it's like, okay, well, this chip is the one that's got me bad. If we could fix the chip, and then they're like, oh, we could replicate anything, and they start doing some sciencey stuff, and like. I was like, damn, it's so good because Doc Ock is a genius level person, character. He knows this stuff, and he didn't second guess nanotech because nanotech was theorized in the first Spider-Man movie. Just like, oh, awesome catchback, and he's just amazed by the technology, but he's not like this is crazy stuff. It's like, oh, this universe is so interesting. I like this.
Yeah.
And the lizard was like, I'll just stay in the truck. It was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, that makes no sense. I mean, was he ashamed of his appearance or what?
Exactly. That just looks like that was something that was cobbled together to use footage and not film other footage.
Yeah.
I'm guessing maybe just CG, so that way they don't have to have the lizard CG the whole time.
I mean, fair.
It's a small apartment, so you can't have 20 characters in the small apartment.
Yeah, and that's probably why Flint Marko was done the way he was done, because he was probably all CGI.
Yeah.
And, if he does have his lizard tendencies, being in a dark little corner, it's probably really happy for him, because lizards like that. They like their little hidden away dark areas.
Yeah.
So I didn't fight that. I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, we're actually going to be able to cure these guys. And, like, okay. And then Electro was like, wait, I don't know if I actually really like this power. I have more power than I had before, and nothing's really wrong with me. Why do I have to? And I was like, oh, that's actually a really good point. And... you kind of see that Green Goblin was was making trouble, and I was like, oh, this isn't completely Harry Osborn. This is Green Goblin now, And I thought that was a really great twist. I didn't see that twist coming at all. So Green Goblin was like, okay, let's do the cure. And then he was like, oh, wait, this cure doesn't work on me because I'm Green Goblin. And he gets into his suit, and then they like start the fight, and he starts throwing bombs, and Ned and MJ were like, well, let us help. It's like, no, it's enough. I don't want you guys to get hurt. You guys stay here. But here's the box, and if these villains go crazy, I'll call you and hit the button, so that way the box takes them back to the reality. And I actually agree. That's a good way to do it. They don't necessarily have to be there.
Yeah.
It's a safe way to do it. And they're like, okay. And Ned stole one of the little rings from Doctor Strange.
Yeah, the sling ring.
Yeah.
And he was saying that his grandma was saying that they have some magic in them. And so they were just kind of waiting and seeing if you hit the button or not hit the button, or wait for the call. And Green Goblin starts to, attack, and Electro takes off his adapter, and he's like, no. And I'm going to get on this, get the Tony Stark, was it reactor? The
replicator?
Arc reactor.
Yeah, and that's a lot more power than he's ever had, and it really works because that helps Iron Man. So Electro just goes away, and Sandman is like, well, I don't know about this. I'm just trying to get back to my kid, which has always been his thing,
He was a bad guy by our system, caused by our system.
Yeah, exactly. And he's picking sides based on what'll get him back. Who will get him to his child?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing personal with anybody. He wants to go home to his kid.
And so this battle all happens, and this apartment that they're in starts being destroyed by Green Goblin and his balls.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not mean it to come out that way, but his pumpkin balls.
No, they don't look they look more like balls than pumpkins.
So these balls explode and cause a little havoc. And in this explosion, Aunt May is hurt. And she dies, which I was not expecting at all. I was like, oh my god, it actually went there.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, she got refrigerated.
Yeah.
And that scene was just so awesome with Tom Holland, and he knocked it out of the park there. I was like, oh my god. And I was just like, I was crying, and everyone in the theater was like, oh my god.
Yeah, the whole audience my screening was like, oh my god. They were like freaking out. They couldn't believe it. And then they were gutted when she said the thing, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one hit me double. It's like, oh, that's so good.
But if you would have listened to Peter, she could have been alive.
Yeah.
But she was trying to help, and she was, I don't necessarily think it was her fault that she died.
No, we know it's the Green Goblin's fault she died.
Yeah.
And Green Goblin's like spiking the football, and it's like, shit, damn, he's full on evil now.
Yeah.
And Ned is starting to worry, and it's like, okay, maybe I could use this to get a portal and to go, because he used it to make a portal to get out. So maybe he could use that to get to Spider-Man.
Yep.
And he gets it, and he sees Spider-Man in the street, or he looks like Spider-Man.
Well, it is Spider-Man. It's just, not the same Spider-Man he's looking for.
Yeah, it's the second incantation.
Mm-hmm.
Or third in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and I cheered because I knew that you cannot have Toby and Andrew without Toby. So it is guaranteed now. And Andrew hit it out of the park even better than he was in other movies. And he was so good in this. And they're like, you're Spider-Man, and then you know, that scene went on a little bit too long, but it was really funny.
Can you get the cobwebs off the corner?
Yeah.
What language was the grandma speaking? I think it was like Filipino or something.
I think it was Tagalog. Is what they
Yeah.
call it.
I don't know what she said, but I want to know what subtitles on that thing.
Yeah.
It might be some kind of fun thing. It might be something basic, but yeah. They're like, oh, there's another Spider-Man? Oh, wow. And then like, let's try it again. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know what's going to happen.
Youth pastor.
Yeah. Youth pastor.
I was actually kind of thinking, are they going to have, is this going to be a chance they do the cartoon? And go, you know, oh, wait, this is the wrong portal, that, you know, because Spider-Pig is starting to come out. Because, it's, you know, maybe like he said, he didn't say Peter Parker, he said Peter Porker. You know, because the food.
That would have been hilarious.
And then you open the portal and you're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. No, do it again, and then you get Toby. That would have been funnier. But I because you know Peter Porker would have been the connection to the Spider-Verse, and he doesn't belong in this movie at all. He's not at all in this kind of tone.
No.
And then Youth Pastor comes out, which is Toby. And I was like, oh, yes. Everyone cheered in the theater. I was into.
And he wasn't in the suit at first, which kind of disturbed me because I was like, oh, no, he's not going to do anything.
Yeah. And eventually you figure out, oh, it's underneath. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It made sense because he's not, he's jaded enough to know to keep his identity secret.
Right.
And that was a reference again to Spider-Man 1, where Superman, tore off his shirt to get into Spider-Man uniform, which, everyone knew that was a reference to Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And Toby looks good. He's
aged a lot.
Yeah, he's aged a lot.
Well, yeah, how many decades has it been since he's played Spider-Man?
Almost 15 years, so a decade and a half.
Yeah, that's quite a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep thinking the movies are older than they are.
Yeah.
Well, remember, the first Spider-Man movie came out in 2001.
2?
No, 1.
2.
It was 2000.
No, 2.
Is it 2?
2.
Okay. I'll look it up.
And then the last one was 2007.
Yeah, we've already gone through the third reboot of Spider-Man in less than 20 years. That's an awful awful lot of turn.
You're right, Jake. It was 2002, but I remember everyone really loved it, and it was the right kind of movie for a post 9/11 world. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the second Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man movie was pre 9/11.
No, it was post. Sorta.
Which one was the one that they had the original trailer shot in the World Trade Center?
That was the first one.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I thought we thought it was the second. Okay.
Oh, I'm positive.
Okay. I'll take your word for it because I know I don't remember.
And they had to edit that out in the trailers after that because that was an early on trailer. That's the first teaser trailer. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's like because the helicopter was caught in between it was a web in between the World Trade Center, and you could still kind of see the World Trade Center in the first movie, but just barely.
So, they come back. They're able to figure out what happened, or Peter calls and he's like, "What's going on?" And it's like, Aunt May's gone, and they're like, "What?" And it's like, "Where's he gonna go? He left." And it's like, "Well, is there a spot where he goes to when it's bad?" And of course, as a great callback from the beginning of the movie or earlier in the movie with not May, but with MJ and Peter Parker, MCU Peter Parker. That's how we're gonna have to phrase it. And so they go back there, and he's just like he doesn't want to engage, but she's being super awesome in that scene, and they're all having a group hug, and I was like, oh my god, it's like awesome. And then it's like, I have some people here that could help you, and they're like, what? And then they're like, oh, and you get to introduce Andrew and Toby, and that scene is like, we all been through tragedy, and we know as the audience, or at least I know because I watched these other movies, what they're talking about, and Yeah, it's just as bad. I guess maybe Andrew Spider-Man had it the worst because it was, he was so close to saving her, but they help a brother out, and that was just a perfect scene. The scene that I've been wanting since the original, since the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. I was like, oh, they gotta do this, and then Spider-Verse just kindled that fire. I want this so bad, and this is like so good. And like, okay, then we're gonna have to figure out how to cure these guys. Let's work together, and let's go to a lab. And like they all get, Andrew gets in his lab coat, which is like just like how he was in Amazing Spider-Man, and
they become science bros.
They kind of sort of pointed at each other there, but it wasn't as I wanted.
But it was close enough. It hit.
It was close enough.
It's gonna be a new meme.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, I helped cure Lizard in my universe, and I've been thinking about how to cure Green Goblin in mine, and it's like, oh, this is so perfect. Yes, this makes sense. This is how you do a plot. Yes, I love this. And so they're all working together to make it work. And before the battle, we all assumed that Electro fired the chip again, and that Doc Ock was bad again. And we later get the revelation that he was not.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, we're gonna go to the Statue of Liberty, which they're adding Captain America's shield to. Okay.
Yeah, that seemed kind of out of character, I guess, but
I mean, I'd rather just make another statue with Captain America than add it to Statue of Liberty. But
yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah.
That's probably the compromise, because they didn't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
So like, okay, we're gonna have all the cure together, and all of us work. We're gonna go over here, lure all the bad guys here, and we'll give them all the cure, and then send them back, and then everything's gonna be fixed. So they go back, and they're struggling, and Holland kind of steps up and is like, well, when I'm in the Avengers, I'm the only one that's worked in a team. So let's, I'll take control of this situation, and, we work together. And it's like, oh, this is so good, because yes, he was in the team, and, I like that taking charge. And
I love how the other two are like, cool, what's the Avengers?
Avengers, are they a band? Which I laugh, because there is a famous, in certain circles, punk band from the West Coast called the Avengers.
Yeah.
Who they were like, they were kind of in the music geeks. They're kind of placed slightly below the Dead Kennedys. Great band. They just never really broke out of the West Coast, though.
So they work together, eventually get it going, and everyone's saved except for Green Goblin, and Doctor Strange is there, and then he's like, what's going on here? And the universe is starting to rip apart, and it's like, we don't have time to get everyone fixed. It's like, we could do this, and the last one is Green Goblin, and Tom Holland is there, and he starts to fight him, and he's going to kill him. And it's like,
he goes Batman.
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe is laughing his head off because he's like, of course, he's won. He's needled Spider-Man, and he's got Spider-Man to become just like him.
Well, it reminded me more of Joker and Batman, where Joker would be laughing, and as Batman kills him.
Yeah, well, that's the same reason Joker laughs, because he's won.
Yeah,
he's got him to his level.
I think that was the plot of Dark Knight Returns, right?
Pretty much.
And that he just breaks him because he kills him, and not to spoil that, but it's just saying that's a 20-year-old comic, so come on.
Yeah, well, this is a spoiler cast. We didn't say what we're spoiling.
And then MJ falls, and then Andrew rescues her, and I was like, I knew it was going to happen, but I was so happy it did. And it's just like, yes, Andrew, you redeemed yourself. And Yes, Toby, he redeemed himself at the end of that. All of them got redeemed.
Well, that's not a redemption because Gwen, he didn't need to be redeemed. Gwen died. It wasn't. He tried to save her, but he's not the one who imperiled her.
Yeah.
So but the thing is, saving MJ doesn't do anything to bring Gwen back or change what happened to Gwen. If it makes him feel better, yeah, but to me, it just seems like, oh, saving one girl makes up for losing another. It's like girls are interchangeable. That's not how that works.
I mean, maybe with the whole portal technology, because there's rumors that they're going to make Amazing Spider-Man 3 now. Maybe this will be an intro for Spider-Gwen?
I don't know.
Yeah. This was sort of Amazing Spider-Man 3, and also the Sam Raimi, another version, kind of, everybody kind of got their third movie,
Yeah.
Toby got his
Toby's.
well, Toby got a redo.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way at all, Classic Jake. I saw it that, he failed with Gwen. Yes, it wasn't all his fault, but he was trying to help, and now he's proven to himself that
can help.
That he can't, it wasn't his fault, that he could do it. And that's why he was redeemed in that, because that haunted him, and that was a big part of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And so that's, that made me cry again.
I see that, but Gwen Stacy is like the original fridged character. I mean, she was killed in the comics pretty much because they wanted to forward Spider-Man story, so they killed her off, because it's like, how do you have a character with a bunch of girlfriends if he's got one steady girlfriend?
Yeah.
But they all have their character that dies, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because of their actions, so it was directly connected to, Toby, that's why Uncle Ben died. And it was directly, I don't remember what happened to Uncle Ben in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, he died.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't remember the context of that one.
Oh, he just got shot.
Yeah, and we also had more contact with Peter Parker's parents in the Amazing.
Yeah, there's some really good deleted scenes in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which should have been in the movie, but
never
did.
But Sony did Andrew really wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we never got anything with Tom Holland's Uncle Ben at all, so we had no idea what happened there.
Yeah, we have no idea. We have no idea if he was a 15-minute dad or if Aunt May was a fling. We have no idea. I mean, there may not even be technically an Uncle Ben.
What's Happy's real first name? Is it Happy or is it a?
I think it was Harold, right?
Yeah, Harold.
Oh, okay. So, that knocks my theory out the window.
Now, I saw this on Reddit. I don't remember the user, but I'm gonna steal it and say, in my head canon, Joe Pesci is Uncle Ben.
My cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
My cousin Vinny is MCU.
It's just another universe, and that works. And I mean,
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, because we don't even know about Peter Parker's parents. I mean, they were just completely unmentioned. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know anything.
MCU Peter Parker.
Yeah, MCU Peter Parker. So the next trilogy, I think that is some stuff that needs to be brought up in the story.
So, MCU Peter Parker was going to kill him and get revenge, and that he was letting go, and Toby came in and stopped him, and it was like, enough, stop, and then Green Goblin stabbed him, and I was like, holy crap, and I was like, no, you're not going to kill Toby, go to hell, movie, no!
How does his spider sense not work at that scene? That's the only thing I want to know.
Exactly. Also, I assume that probably originally Toby was being killed off, and I think that was the first set of reshoots was probably to change that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would.
Like he said, he has been stabbed before.
Which awesome callback! Great way to do that scene. Awesome.
And all the responses about his back, because remember, Remember all the stories about him getting hurt on Seabiscuit and Jake Gyllenhaal getting hired to replace him.
Yeah.
The chemistry between the three Spider-Men, awesome.
Yeah, I'm surprised they managed to pull it off because I'm like, well, somebody's going to be a weak link or they're not going to have the same chemistry, but they did really well.
Toby was better in this than he was in the other three movies.
Yes, and same thing with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
That's why I give it a 10, because they were better in this movie than they were in their prospective movies that got them started in Spider-Man. And that's just awesome. And the characters are better too. So it's just like they're evolving, the actors and the characters, and it's just everything hit out of the park. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And you know, how they did the callbacks to those other movies, but if you didn't see those other movies, you're not lost. So they respected the movies, and they all got a redemption arc in this movie, and they were better in this movie, and that's just like, oh yeah. And after they, rescued Green Goblin, and I was like, okay, now what? And Doctor Strange was like, I can't fix this. Which I was like, oh crap, is this gonna be a connection to the Loki, or how is this gonna happen? Are these monsters gonna come out of the multiverse or what? And it was like, he said, just make everybody forget who Peter Parker was. And I was like, what? And
yeah, no exceptions. Do the spell originally. Yeah, because I think he's realized that there's no other way. He can't have exceptions carved out.
And he knows what he's doing. He's rebooting himself. And that is ultimate sacrifice. That is the hero being a hero. And I was like, wow, that's a better ending than I was thinking it was going to be. And he was like, okay, go ahead and, say goodbye to everybody. And he gets to say goodbye, and MJ have a kiss, and it's awesome. It's one of the best cinematic kisses in a long time.
And he wasn't even hanging upside down.
Yeah.
And Ned, they have a good hug, and they did try it. And it's like, hey, when something affects our lives, you need to help us out and tell us. So that he kind of paid that back, but it's like,
we have to talk about the Martha scene in Spider-Man when Ned just randomly goes, I promise as your best friend I'm not going to kill you, and the Spider-Men are like thumbs up.
Yeah.
Just a callback, because everybody knows Ned Leeds in the comics is the Hobgoblin.
Yeah. Who's
kind of a Green Goblin-esque character who has magic abilities.
So, yeah, and when Ned was asking OG Spider-Man or Toby, hey, so is there a Ned in your thing? Do you have a best friend? And he was like, yes, I have a best friend, and he died in my arms. And he was like, oh crap. I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and then he goes, talks to Andrew.
Just that back and forth was just so on point. Everybody bought their A game, and that was obviously a play, because we none of us could see this version of Ned become Hobgoblin. But now that the spell did get put in, and Ned and MJ don't remember him at all.
And Ned is really good with magic, because he impressed Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and it makes total sense if they make him the Hobgoblin in a future movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before, it wouldn't make any sense at all, but now, and that's a even bigger tragedy for because he made that. It wasn't anything else, and it fast forwards.
Now he doesn't have Peter Parker as a stabilizing force in his life.
So, Peter Parker, this Peter Parker is MCU Peter Parker, Holland. Now everybody disappears, and they go back to their universe. I was really, really hoping, and maybe it's a deleted scene, the guys should have taken a picture together, for God's sake. Just, hey, this is a weird time. Let's take a picture so we remember this. All of us. And, that sounds a great idea. All of them are photographers. All of them know the game. Let's take a picture, and that could just be, like, perfect. All three Spider-Men holding each other, awesome. That would have, I don't know why they didn't think of that. But, so we get to the future, which is now Christmas time, when apparently is, maybe there's a connection to, without spoiling it, Hawkeye TV show, because that's also set in Christmas.
Well, there definitely is a connection because the Rogers musical billboard is in No Way Home.
So,
and that's just talking about it like that doesn't spoil anything, because if you've seen the trailers for Hawkeye, you will know in the MCU there's now a Broadway musical based on Steve Rogers called Rogers.
Now,
right.
New Jake, so just so you know, I feel like Hawkeye grows on you, the TV show. I feel like I didn't like it at all for the first 2 episodes. Third episode, I digged it a lot because it's all action, and then it's just getting better and better, and I think it's going to end on a high note. Classic Jake, what are your thoughts without spoiling Hawkeye?
It's a slow burn. It takes a while to get going, but once it gets going, it gets going. But what'll keep you interested in is the quality of the actors. The story, though, it's a slow burn.
So
I'm fine with the slow burn.
Yeah, just so you know, and anyone else listening, so we get Tom Holland, Christmas time, visiting where MJ works to see how they are. It's been a couple months. I think it said 2 or 3 months, right, at the end?
Yeah.
So she does not remember him, and Ned is there. And at first, I was thinking, oh, crap, are they now together? And that doesn't look like they are. And they're ready to go to MIT, and he decides not to tell them, and that, they're okay. They don't necessarily need me in their lives anymore.
Yeah, well, he does introduce himself, and they know his name, but there's no recognition.
Yeah, he didn't even talk to Ned.
Yeah, and if you noticed, Michelle was wearing the broken dahlia necklace.
Yeah.
So everyone in the universe knows Spider-Man exists, that he helped the Avengers save the universe. He's helped fight these people, but nobody knows that Spider-Man is Parker.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has a GED book at the end of the movie, which does that mean nobody at school knows him either?
I would say certain things happened to him. I would say because he probably wasn't living with Aunt May, or we don't know how that worked out. There was nobody to advocate for him when he got blipped.
That's fair.
He probably had no family, so when he comes back, he's SOL.
Yeah, makes sense.
And now that Aunt May's dead, he doesn't have anywhere else to be. So
yeah, we don't know because we don't know. We're assuming Uncle Ben is dead, or there was an Uncle Ben, and his parents are dead. We don't know.
And that, I guess, to the trauma of all of this, he couldn't finish graduating from high school, or if he, because he's looking at a GED book at the end, and so it's one of those things. It's like, oh, I thought at first, did he graduate? And no, I don't think so.
There's also the possibility that he might have graduated and all that. He's just a tutor.
Maybe.
Possibly. But if he's living in a rundown apartment by himself, he's probably working a job and maybe doing night school or online classes.
In New York, that apartment is probably $3,000 a month.
Probably. That would have been perfect if Mr. Ditkovich would have came back, or an incantation of him.
Yeah, that apartment did look like those apartments almost. So I was like, so where's Mr. Ditkovich? I mean,
where's rent?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the rent? I mean, we did get over the high school roof, the Ditko graffiti. That was nice.
Yeah, I seen that. That was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, we should have had Mr. Ditkovich.
Yeah.
So the movie ends with Peter, starting a new life, and no one knows he's Spider-Man. and he doesn't have his connections to his friends anymore.
No.
MJ and no one remembers him. He just is completely anonymous, and
I thought of somebody who probably knows.
Who?
Nick Fury. Think about
Yeah, that's fair.
He was not on World.
Yes, and they even said that in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's an interesting question. Is it on World or is it Universe?
He wasn't in the World.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's in World because when the spell happened, Doctor Strange's arm didn't rot off practically. Because that's an awful lot of power, and I don't think he would have done something. He would have the power to if it was more than that.
I guess do the Guardians of the Galaxy and know him and Thor?
Yeah, they probably don't know. We'll find out, maybe.
Yeah. But I guess the Avengers remember being with Spider-Man, but they don't remember Peter Parker. They just know it's a kid,
Yeah. They just know Spider-Man.
So that's how the movie ends, and it's kind of a down note, but it's also kind of a reboot note, and it's like, oh, this is really sad, but it's also really nice. He has the opportunity to have a real life, but then he doesn't have the tech from Iron Man. So
because I imagine he can't access the tech because if they don't know who Peter Parker is, he wouldn't have been programmed into it.
Yeah.
So he has to go back to his previous basic Spider-Man costume.
Mm-hmm. And had to bang out his own outfit.
And the only person I think that would probably know would be from Civil War, which would be Tony Stark, because he's the only one who knew who he was at the moment.
Yeah,
and then he's dead. So
yeah, mm-hmm.
That kind of ties that up nicely.
Mm-hmm. And most of his interactions with the Avengers were through Tony and Happy, and they don't know. Well, Happy doesn't. Yeah, because Happy when they have little graveside talk.
So
which is a nice little touching moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess part of the world knows or thinks he's a murderer still because they still know the Mysterio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that any documents or anything in news coverage, if people see it, then they'll just forget it instantly after, so that way they don't connect that dot.
Oh, and here's another thought. With everybody coming back, could it be Mysterio came back but just stayed hidden?
Possibly.
And that's how they're going to bring Mysterio back?
How come they just couldn't go back in time and say, can you have Mysterio forget who I was? That would have been easier.
Doesn't have the time stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they just can you just have, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's different ways they could have split that up, but I mean, to simplify everything, it just would have been that.
But if they would have found Vision, they probably didn't need the time stone at that point, because of WandaVision. Maybe they could have found out something like that with technology to create a time machine. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Well, I think a lot of things didn't happen is because they couldn't film them because of COVID. I mean, because Emma Stone said she was going to be in the movie, but wasn't because of COVID.
Now, I'm glad the Skrulls were not part of this because the Skrulls could make things super easy to mess up.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, Doctor Strange, in theory, could be a Skrull.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think so. I don't think so either, because I don't think a Skrull could do the magic.
That would be a great segue to the post-credit scenes.
So, I was like, where the hell is Venom in this movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that we got a Venom scene, and I was actually expecting them to just recycle the scene, the post-credit scene from Venom.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, we got a genuine, full-blown, actual new post-credit scene that paid off.
So, Venom and Eddie are in a bar in Mexico, and they're just drunk.
Yeah, it's like, who is the Hulk?
Yeah, they're talking about the superheroes of this world and gobsmacked by, Hulk and,
So, they're not, trying to go because like at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, the post credit scene, he zaps him into MCU universe, and he's like, "Oh, I know that guy. I want to be with him," and licks the TV screen. And there's no. So I guess after that, Eddie just like drinks and is like, "Oh yeah," and then they just get drunk and hang out, and I guess all of that happens in a day. So they're in the middle of Mexico with no money or anything. So it actually makes sense, or that he could just stay there, get drunk, and then go back, because how is he gonna go to New York City from Mexico without a wallet or anything?
Yeah, I mean, with the symbiote, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, the symbiote can jump from person to person, but that'd be a pain in the ass for the symbiote to find somebody with money to take over and haul Eddie along with him.
Yeah.
So I guess
I guess Venom's not in the MCU anymore.
No, well. So
part of him is he left a little. He just left a little black goo on the bar top when decided, you may want to leave, but part of me's staying here.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we're going to get Secret Wars.
No, I'm assuming that will be a Venom and for MCU, and the Venom universe is separate, and they're just going to leave that be.
But how are they going to explain the Vulture in Morbius, though? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Find. Well, the thing is, people forget. Before there was Venom, there was a black suit, Spider-Man.
So
that's true.
I could see Tom Holland really glomming on to a suit that gives him tech and wouldn't ask too many questions about it.
Yeah, that's a really great way to have the symbiote. If he still has that learning for Spider-Man, then he'll try to find a way over there, because the Venom knows how to get to different people. So that really makes it an easy way to get Venom to be Spider-Man, and obviously Hobgoblin is something they could do for the future. I was actually kind of glad that they didn't come back with a different Mysterio or a different Vulture. So I was fine with that. They didn't want to have too much.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we never see Ned and MJ again.
Yeah,
because that'd be sad, though.
Yeah, it would be sad, but their stories are kind of, in some ways, concluded.
Yeah.
I mean,
the fans will hate that.
Yeah, I know, but I could also see them going with Black Cat. I mean, because her and Spider-Man were a couple in the books, and the characters did have a lot of chemistry.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of different ways you could figure this out, and we got the first post-credit trailer, which is like, oh my god, a whole trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which for me it was 2D only, which really pissed me off. I was like, no.
Same.
So it looks cool. They definitely have Wanda, and mention, I'm not here to talk about what happened. I'm here. I want your help. And it's like, oh, that's nice. That's a way that you can reference what happened in WandaVision. He knows what happened in WandaVision, and I guess because he's not the Sorcerer Supreme, he didn't have any power to know.
Yeah, it's not his problem. It's Wong's.
And I guess Wong was fighting people, so that's why he didn't, fighting the abomination in China.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a super easy way to explain that. That's why he didn't get involved, which...
Yeah, he ain't the Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
Or at the very least, he was talking to Shang-Chi in that post-credit scene. So
there was one scene with Doctor Strange. It almost looked like he had the 10 rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like wondering, did Wong give him the 10 rings to use in battle?
It's just magic rings, I guess.
Yeah. I guess there's more than he might be, that was a good idea, so I'll try to emulate it.
So, I thought the trailer was really cool. It called back to Doctor Strange, and it looked really cool visually. I just wish it was a 3D trailer, and because Doctor Strange had one of the best 3Ds in Marvel MCU.
I'm just worried that because a lot of guys were saying that a lot of contracts with real 3D expire in 2022.
Yeah, if it'll still be 3D next year, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing that everything that's scheduled to be 3D next year will still be,
Yeah,
but I don't think anything after that is going to happen
yeah.
because
Well, yeah, because all I know is the 3D screening. I was at Spider-Man. It sold out.
Yeah, yeah. Ours was like almost sold out, and there were people sitting in the front row. It was so packed.
and I think not to discredit it, but to 3D, but I think it's just because they wanted to see the movie. They don't care if it was 3D or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry,
just like
but
I need the next screening.
yeah, I don't care, and I'll watch it.
I'll pay the surf fee and wear the glasses.
Oh, we forgot about the whole scene with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man fighting in the Mirrorverse.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's nice to see Scott Derrickson's visuals that he developed for the movie are continuing on as the visual template for Doctor Strange. I mean, that was really nice, and it was really nice to respect Derrickson's work on this series.
So it that scene how Peter was doing the math, love it, love that.
Yeah, used math to take out magic. Awesome.
geometry.
Yeah, bam. Yeah, kids, learn geometry, be like Spider-Man.
I mean, I would be pissed, if I was like, you had me hanging in the Grand Canyon for 12 hours, which I want to know how he broke free.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to hear Loki's reaction to that.
Yeah, because he had him hanging, in an infinite loop.
Playing for 30 minutes.
So yeah, the only reason Doctor Strange got out was because Ned didn't know how to control his thing. So he was like, "Oh, okay, cool, I can get out here."
I mean, I assume the spider webbing also dissipates.
Yeah.
Which that was also a funny scene between the three Spider-Men. It's like, how do you have your spiders come out? It's like, oh, we built ours. Oh, mine just it comes naturally.
Yeah.
It's like, where do you have your fluid?
Yeah, and it was like, does it come out anywhere else?
Yeah.
And that's because anybody who knows biology knows that a spider's webbing comes from its ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's been all sorts of Spider-Man jokes about that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a bunch of deleted scenes that they're like, okay, we can't do that much time, but there's got to be more of that. That's part of the chemistry that I love about these three Spider-Man together, that they were able to have that riff and talk to each other. I mean, they're the same character, but they're able to get along, and it's just like, of course they get along, because they're the same person.
And I think people are and heck, if you have not seen Into the Spider-Verse, go rent it, watch it on streaming, see it any way you can, because you will get more of this. Not between these actors, but between other Spider-Man characters from throughout the multiverse, and it's grand. Plus, you have the bonus of Nick Cage being one of the Spider-Men.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I love that Electro was like, oh, I always thought Spider-Man was black because he's from Queens. I guess maybe in the multiverse there's a black Spider-Man, and I was like, oh yeah, I know what he's referencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Miles. So I'm just wondering who they're going to get to play Miles Morales in the live universe.
So, what other problems did you have now that we talk about in spoilers, New Jake?
I just really thought that some of the stuff at the end in the third act just felt a little rushed, and some of the characters as a whole just felt underdeveloped, and the villains, at least, like especially Sandman and God, who's the other one that's in there? The Lizard. Yeah, they were totally underserved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm like going, they could have thrown in, if they're going to have underdeveloped characters, they should have just thrown in a sixth one.
Yeah, the Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
I love how they mentioned it.
Yeah, but I'm thinking COVID, or I would have went as far as to invent a new one that just play it off as a character you hadn't seen in the movies yet, and just got anybody to play him and killed him off.
Oh, just like another villain that we haven't ever seen.
So you would have had a full Sinister Six.
Yeah.
What are those obscure ass characters that if you never see?
Yeah, Shocker. I would have done the Shocker.
Well,
Yeah.
He was originally called
Scorpion.
He was originally called the Vibrator, and then when they found out what vibrator meant, they changed it to the Shocker. And then when they found out what the Shocker was a reference to, Stan just said, just forget it. We'll just go with it.
No, what Shocker was in Homecoming.
Barely.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that.
The henchman.
Yeah. But we could have had another universe Shock. No, I would have brought him and wiped him out because it's a character that's kind of hard. He's funny, but it's hard to make him funny PG-13.
I think Scorpion would have been a great choice if they wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
Or Mr. Negative.
Yeah, Mr. Negative would have been a natural.
Oh, it would have been cool in 3D.
Big Wheel.
Yeah.
I would like to see Daredevil more in the movies, like have the villains like the villains gallery from there, like Kingpin and stuff. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Kingpin definitely is in this universe, so that's spoiling Hawkeye for you, Jake.
I mean, yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely want to see that. I would love to have it be more small and have smaller scale and have Daredevil. I've been wanting that scene where Daredevil trains Spider-Man, and that'd be great together.
Yep, exactly. And a lot of people forget Kingpin was originally a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
Oh, this should have had this. This is a good way to end the podcast. The extra character, Mephisto.
But there are clues everywhere in the movie that he was in the movie.
He's only in there for like 3 seconds, and you're just pisses everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get the fascination with Mephisto. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either.
The devil.
Yeah, it's not that interesting.
Oh, it's because the comic they're basing this on with Mephisto is just so trash and stupid and overblown. It's a meme for ridiculous. Yeah. It's just a meme for ridiculousness, and they also see it as a cool way to get past the no supernatural elements restriction on Chinese cinema.
Yeah.
Well, it's on its way to make $1 billion without China, so.
Yeah, this movie may be the first movie to cross the $1 billion mark since.
And that was one of my predictions from last year or this year, whatever I said it was.
Yeah, and I predicted there would be no movies cross $1 billion, and we'll see if it hits $1 billion before New Year's Eve or not. I mean,
it's already made 600 in 3 days.
Yeah. I'm thinking my prediction's going to get blown out of the water for the good of cinema. But hey, the
Omicron.
Omicron, and there's also that movie that bridge movie in China. It may hit $1 billion without playing any place but China.
Yeah,
but
it's happened before.
But I don't know if we're going to count that one because nobody's been able to verify the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of places are currently in a lockdown or about to get into another lockdown, except for U.S., of course. I don't think Biden wants to do that at all. That would just piss everybody off. And
there's a lot of countries who are like, I think Germany is very reluctant, and I think New Zealand possibly.
Yeah, but I know Biden's like, no, I don't want to do that because people will just purposely not do it, for spite him. And it just won't work. So you can't. It's one of those things you can only use that once, and you can't use it again another 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's like the nuclear bomb. You can't do that again.
Well, basically, what's going to happen is we are going to go through this until we hit herd immunity, and it looks like we're going to hit herd immunity by enough people dying off that the survivors are immune.
Yeah. It's
and reaches 70% that way. So good luck.
I mean, they're saying it could go endemic in about a year or so, so we'll see.
I would say it's probably endemic already, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the variants are going to keep popping up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Just like Spider-Man villains, the variants pop up. Just like the Loki variants pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to tie it all together. Trying to.
Yeah. The segues are strong with this one.
We're trying. I'm trying. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's going to be it for this super duper awesome, spectacular, amazing Spider-Man No Way
Superior?
Home.
Uh-huh.
We'll try to watch Thing 2 for you.
Yeah, and Tobey Maguire said Andrew's Spider-Man was amazing.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, that was another Easter egg callback.
Yeah.
They knew.
So does that mean that Tom Holland's going to become spectacular?
Maybe.
Or maybe they'll say that for Miles Morales.
Yeah. Or he'll be Web of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's going to be it for this Spoilercast for Spider-Man No Way Home. Again, I give it a 10. I love it. It made me cry multiple times, and I got everything I wanted, so I'm very happy. And in many ways, it exceeded my highest expectations. I want to see it again. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, go see it. Oh, and if you can't get in and are old enough to see an R movie, go Nightmare Alley is a good way to spend a couple hours if you can actually find it on the screen, because a lot of screenings have been canceled to make room for Spider-Man.
Just go see Encanto.
Encanto's great. I love Encanto.
I like Encanto.
Encanto's still playing, yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right.
You probably won't find it in 3D because that looks like Spider-Man's taking that slot.
Well, that and Thing 2.
Yeah, well, probably Spider-Man won't be in 3D because around me, theaters seem to only want to play one 3D movie at a time.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the 3D, I don't remember, like, I wanted that scene in the Mirror Universe to be better. Like, it was good, but I was like, come on, it could be better than this, you know?
Yeah.
I want those tentacles to be flying at the screen. There was a couple times here and there, but I was like, more.
I wanted the sand to be in the audience.
Yes.
I wanted the electrical arcs to be in the audience. I wanted it all.
Yeah, I wanted Spider-Man swinging crazy like he did in Infinity War.
Yes.
Wanted that crazy swinging in 3D, like when he skimmed the lake and.
Oh, I guess you had to watch it in 4DX to get the sand. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many times where it's like, okay, dark scene or a really small cat scene. It's like, okay, I know 3D is good here, but okay, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not hurting my eyes, so it's fine.
Yeah, no headaches, no nausea,
no diarrhea. Yeah.
no diarrhea.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us. Bye.
Bye.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D, Mr. Bengal 5, and Kevin Winter for your financial support on Patreon.com. So that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Links are in the info box. If you want to send us listener mail, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.